big legal ruling handed down on Obamacare. For more on its impact and how the court reached the decision, let's bring in Judge Andrew Napolitano, our Fox News senior judicial analyst. Okay, Judge, we've been running into each other in the hallways. In anticipation of this, I keep saying I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this. Speak a little bit, not just to how they came to this decision, Judge, but the precedent that this sets going forward, how they essentially turn the U.S. Constitution on its head, and I believe put a nail in the democratic process.
Well, it's actually a little, first of all, Andrea and everybody there, I'm in D.C., but I'm thrilled to be on with you guys, notwithstanding the news that we sometimes have to discuss, because the Supreme Court today, as Justice Scalia pointed out in his dissent, basically said that words no longer have any meaning. If established by the state means established by any government, then the drafters, the people who wrote the statute, using the word state with an uppercase S, obviously referring to the 50 states, no longer has meaning, and the Supreme Court can change the meaning of words. Why is that dangerous? It's dangerous because the Supreme Court has the final say in our society on the meaning of the Constitution and the meaning of statutes. If the drafters of statutes know that the Supreme Court will change the plain meaning of ordinary words, how can they draft a statute with the confidence that the statute will be enforced as they drafted it? That's the precedent. That's the problem. That's what animated this biting, stinging, extremely articulate, caustic dissent by Justice Scalia, in which he used some very, very harsh terms. I think the headline tomorrow will be, Scalia calls it SCOTUS care, basically saying if the Supreme Court likes a statute, it will change the ordinary plain meaning of everyday English words in order to save the statute.
Judge, it's Ed Henry. Andrea just mentioned bumping into you in the hallway. What do you think it's like when Justice Scalia is going to bump into Chief Justice Roberts in the hallway next time at the Supreme Court, presumably over the next few hours today? Because in all seriousness, Chief Justice Roberts has now saved the president's health care law twice. Conservatives are furious about that.
And Ed, both times he did this, he used novel arguments that were not even advanced in the briefs or oral arguments that were before the court. First time around, where the challengers said the penalty or the consequence of the failure to acquire the individual mandate is not a tax, and the government said it's not a tax, the Chief Justice wrote an opinion saying it's a tax. This time around, where the government said the language is not ambiguous, and where the plaintiffs said the language is not ambiguous, the Chief Justice authored an opinion saying the language is ambiguous. So it is one thing for him to find standard, acceptable modes of interpretation to uphold a statute. It is quite another for him to go off into almost legal never-never land in a way to uphold a statute, ways that weren't anticipated and weren't even argued before him. But again, you know, lawyers have a phrase, the Supreme Court is infallible because it's final. It's not final because it's infallible. This is it. Unless a Republican president is elected in 2016 and with sufficient majorities in both houses of Congress, and they have the determination to change this, this will be the law of the land for a long time to come.